Here it is. It's on. We're rolling. I don't know. Did it say or no? Trying to do research before the
A little
broadcast.
last minute
Yeah,
research.
yeah. That's always
All
good.
right, do a countdown,
All
bro.
right, let's do it. Five, four, three, two, one.
Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to the Jersey Alchemist, and I'm your host, Dr. John Gerard Galucci.
And I'm Philip D'Angelo.
And I just noticed that, of course, right after our last episode, a light bulb blew out on our set, and now my microphone is casting a shadow on me.
Wow.
Ask me if I give a shit. No, we're not going to win. We're not going to win an award for videography. That's for sure. But the one thing that is for sure, we're doing this by dragging our faces along the pavement. It's all homegrown, and that's what you get.
John, have you ever had your face dragged along the pavement? It's not pleasant.
Well, unintentionally, yeah.
Yeah,
I
right.
fell off a bike as a kid, horrible concussion. I fractured my skull. And everybody, of course, my naysayers said, well, that's the reason why you're such a weirdo. Okay, all right. I guess it is.
Wow. On the coming off a motorcycle accident, I kissed the pavement skidding down the road. So, you know.
Road rash?
Oh, I'll tell you. Talk about a burn. Yeah, road rash. 6 broken ribs, collarbone, punctured lung. Other than that, it was okay. You know, we're back.
I took the New Jersey State motorcycle safety course.
Okay.
I was all set and hot on, ride a motorcycle, getting a bike. I was going to be that guy, and quite frankly, I am that guy. But I did it in 2007, and my wife at the time went fuming ballistic. What kind of message are you giving to the kids?
Why should you have fun?
You'll end up a roadside cross on Route 18, where there's like one every mile. But I know why those roadside crosses are there. Yeah. Have you ever been driving or riding on your bike, and all of a sudden you feel like somebody dropped the mother of all bombs in the area? There's an explosion that happens. You're stunned, and five idiots on crotch rockets blow by you at the same time, doing 130 miles an hour. Yeah. Boom! It's like this. It's like, oh, yeah. You know, those are the people. Those are the people that end up roadside crosses, and everybody says, "Oh my God, what were they thinking? What were they thinking? Why don't you do a tightrope walk on the high tension wires? It's just as safe."
My only advice for anybody on a motorcycle or looking to get a motorcycle license, any senior citizen on the road that you see,
oh boy,
just stay far away from. Don't worry about drunks. Don't worry
they
about.
Won't see you. Yeah.
They don't see you. That's what happened to me. So just stay away from any senior citizen. You see a senior citizen, just back off. Yeah. They're killers.
Well, it's amazing that we're talking about this. This was not, premeditated, but yesterday I'm driving on Route 28, and there's a busy intersection right across from a shopping plaza. 2 or 3 years ago, in a rainstorm, I saw a young girl who was wearing an old snorkel jacket, like a parka, that, boy, don't ever do this. Don't ever walk across the busy street with a winter parka with the hood zipped all the way up, like so that you're looking out this porthole, because you can't see and you can't hear. Oh, and she's in a rainstorm, and she's just slowly walking across the street, and I'm at the red light, and she's walking right in front of my car, and here comes a little old granny who you can't see her head over the curvature of the steering wheel, who comes out of that parking lot, never sees this chick in the snorkel jacket. The chick with the jacket has no idea that Granny's pulling out with a hot foot and making a left onto 28. She hits this girl like, those videos of the bull in the ring?
Oh,
and they bang,
yeah.
And then the matador goes up in the air. Wow. This gal she had to go 12, 15 feet in the air and was doing an ass overhead, twirl, and bang, right on the ground. Thank God she didn't end up in front of the car. The old lady stops the car. She's I called the police, 911, blah, blah, blah. And I kept telling this girl, who was was conscious but clearly uptunded. I said, listen, you're not going anywhere. You're going to the hospital. They have to make sure that you don't have internal injuries. And even the cop, when he showed up, I said, look, I'm a surgeon, a trauma surgeon for years. You got to go and rule out that she doesn't have a fractured liver or a spleen because I saw her get nailed. I saw how high in the air she went. Right? And the cop was like, well, I said, look, oh, hey, look. Okay, just telling you. I can't drag her to the ER, but I think you need to have her taken to the anyway.
Wow.
But,
Interesting. Did you ever find out what happened or no?
No. She probably was fine, but lots of people, after they get out of a car wreck or they get hit by a car, they think they're okay and they're stunned. Their adrenaline is flying, endorphins are everywhere. They don't feel the pain. They got a fractured spleen. How many times have we heard, God forbid, that some young kid, football player, gets their spleen fractured, in a high school or college or a professional football game, and the next thing you know what happened to, remember the hockey player for the Avalanche? Forsberg. Forsberg. I think it was coming toward the playoffs, and somebody crunched him and ruptured his spleen, and he had to have his spleen taken out. Otherwise, he would have bled to death.
Yeah. My spleen was lacerated, John, as well.
Yours was?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I was one grade below. They had to take it out, he said. And I did the same thing. I got up off the ground because I'll never lay on the ground for anything. And I went to the curb. And because you got up and walked to the curb, everybody assumes you're okay.
Oh, yeah, no. It's a big mistake.
And that's my style, like, to just go home. I mean,
Shrug it off.
But
right.
I told the cop, I said, leave my bike on the side. I'll be back for later. He goes, oh, you're not coming back. So they made sure. I was bleeding internally. My blood pressure dropped to 60/40. Yeah, so.
And so they watched you for like 3-4 days?
Yes. I was in ICU for a week.
Yeah. What hospital?
Well,
what town?
I went to Morristown.
Yeah,
and Morristown was fantastic.
Yeah.
They took me to a hospital prior to that. That was not a trauma hospital. And that's where I started plummeting. And to their credit, they didn't know what to do with me. So that's when they called.
Gotta transfer you before you become untransferable. Then that's when the shit hits the fan. When you have people that aren't ready, they're not good at it, and now it's too late to put you in a transport vehicle because you're now unstable. That's a big problem. Ooh.
Of course, they called for the helicopter.
How did you fly in a helicopter?
No, but the helicopter, it's my luck. The helicopter was busy. So
we're sorry.
They threw me in the back of a meat wagon. And by then the pain-killing drugs were kicking in. So I was just like, some guy kept staring at me.
I'm surprised that they gave you that because that'll bottom you out if you have that much blood loss and you're in hypovolemic shock, and then they hit you with morphine. Look out, boing.
That's interesting because on the ride there, we had a ride 287 to Morristown. I was talking to the guy in the back. He just kept staring at me. He goes, "Pal, just stop talking." But I was like, "What are you talking about? Like everything's gonna be all right."
Right.
He goes, "Just
stop talking.
Just save your strength."
Yeah.
But Morristown is a great hospital.
No, it is. It absolutely is.
I have no complaints with that.
How did the accident happen?
Well, I was on a beautiful country road. I'll tell you what happened though. I mean, I will never ride a motorcycle if you have a lot on your mind, if you're tired, if you're angry, if you can't concentrate on the road. My father was in the hospital, so I was with my father every night till 1 or 2 a.m. And then got up and went to work the next day. So I was putting in 21-hour days minimum. And it was a Saturday, beautiful day, and I was on a country road, and I was just going around the turns. I figured that would help me, unwind a little bit. But instead, I just wasn't thinking, and this old timer in front of me, he had to be in his 80s. I wasn't even that close to him, but he missed his turn, so he just hit the brakes. So and there was nobody coming this way, so I'm like, well, that's weird. He hit the brakes. Okay, he's gonna turn. He just stood there because he passed the street. He was like a car.
He stopped in the middle of the road,
and he didn't know what to do. So I'm coming around the curve, and I'm like this, and I wasn't speeding, 35, 40, whatever. And I said, this son of a bitch he's not moving.
Yeah.
So I went off to the side, hit the brakes.
Curbside or the
No, curbside. And gravel everywhere. And the
Gravel
bike, I
everywhere.
was like horizontal. I'm like,
Right.
I don't think was in the manual at all of what to do when you're horizontal. So just hit the ground and just slid, and hit the ground on my left
So
side.
I can remember from the safety course, right?
Mm.
There's a high side fall and a low side fall.
Yeah.
So high side is when the bike turns and you go over the top of the bike and now you have an 800-pound bike that's
Coming
sliding
at you,
or
yeah.
tumbling and it's coming after you.
Yeah.
A low side fall is if you dump the bike and you're on the back side of the fall so that the bike is in front of you.
Yeah. That we kind of just went back, and they say you're supposed to let go of the bike.
Yeah.
I think, and
Right.
I didn't never took any.
Separate yourself from the bike?
Yeah, but I didn't.
Yeah,
I
right.
held on. I white knuckled it, and that made it worse. Because anytime my bike ever went, it's a pretty heavy bike, 800-900 pounds. Anytime it went to the side, I just pulled it back up. I figured.
Right.
I just.
Right.
It was.
Well, the producer and I almost got it yesterday on Route 28,
Oh,
and it
boy.
was the classic scenario from my motorcycle safety course on how bikers get nailed by a car. You're coming up, and it's a 2-lane road. Maybe it's 2 lanes on each side, so it's 4. It's a business district, and somebody's in the left turning lane, and you go around them to the outside lane to keep going, and you got somebody coming in the opposite direction that just cuts that fast left.
Oh, of course.
And so yesterday, that's what we were doing, and all I remember was this guy's face. He was in a black, what's the smallest Jeep that they've got? What is it?
Renegade.
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
The base model
Two-door.
two-door
Yeah.
Jeep, right? And all I could see was this guy's face. He was enraged. He was enraged that somebody stopped to make a left, and it was slowing him down, and he just jammed the pedal to the metal and hot-footed it around him. His Jeep was almost on 2 tires, and we were making a completely legal left-hand turn. And he almost nailed us so
Wow.
bad. And I, she screamed, and I said, "Did you see that son of a bitch's face? Did you see his face? Like the face of a monster. Like nobody's stopping me, even if I kill you." And I was
People-
like, "Oh my Lord!"
Driving a car around New Jersey, especially, we're so densely populated. Every highway is packed. If you listen to the morning news on the radio, all you're hearing is accident northbound on Parkway, accident on
Right.
78, accident, a tractor trailer overturned on, it is unbelievable. All I want to tell people out there is spring, summer, and fall. I know if you don't ride a motorcycle, but always take a second look in that rearview mirror or that mirror, your passenger side, driver side, because sometimes you can't see that motorcycle. And you know what? Mine's nice and loud, so you might be able to hear it coming.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, always look twice, because there's a lot of horror stories out there.
I think most drivers, non-motorcycle, car drivers, they've got, I don't know, they've got a bubble over their head
Yeah.
with regard to awareness of motorcycles on the road and what to expect, what to anticipate. I really do. I just think that there's such, here we go with that issue, awareness. There's such a
Wow.
lack of awareness out there. It's
People are
just,
so self-absorbed.
so totally, we live in a self-absorbed society. And, I think the number one reason why, other than the fact that my wife at the time, would probably have taken a gallon of, a 5-gallon can of gasoline, on the street and doused the bike and then lit a match, right? She did not want me on a bike for a lot of different reasons, not all just for safety, but
There's nothing.
it's where we live.
Yeah,
It's just,
Jersey.
it's the roads in Jersey are one thing. Put yourself on a bike and you're, I don't know, late 40s, early 50s, and you know, you're capable and you took the safety course and you knocked it dead, no pun intended. But now you put yourself on a bike that you not really don't know really well, because you'd have to have a new bike, either a used bike that's going to be new to you if you just took the course, and now you put yourself into traffic in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. If we lived out in Pennsylvania, maybe a different story. Maybe I'd be, you know, a biker by now.
And also, there's nothing more alarming when you're on a motorcycle and you're passing somebody on a 2 or 3 lane road, highway, and you see that person texting, not even
course.
looking at the road.
Of
You're
course.
like, oh my goodness, let me get away from this person as fast as I can possibly get away from.
Right.
Everybody in a car
Right.
is on their phone.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
know,
It
I
is
have the
true.
hands-off phone. The Bluetooth is
Yeah.
connected, so at least I'm watching. But
Yeah.
still, I still
Right.
miss exits, right?
Right.
Because you're talking.
Yeah,
You know, these people that want to text are looking down. I'm like, this person's. I feel like, just kicking in that door sometimes, saying, "Hey, pal, wake up.
right,
Let's go."
right. But then there's, you know, I wonder what the the stereotype, you know, biker, the the guy with the high leather gloves, with the salt and pepper beard, the tattoos, you know, the blue jeans and the black biker boots and a leather jacket, right? I wonder what those guys and gals really think of the crotch rocket crew. The 20-year-old that's on a Hayabusa, that thinks it's shits and giggles and lots of fun to go bombing down any highway doing 130 miles an hour. It upsets me so bad. I just break into a silent prayer, like, please, please send an angel, send an agent from the heavens to slow this fool down, because I don't want to see his helmet with his head in it going to the left and his torso going to the right and one leg going up in the air and the other caught underneath a truck. I don't want to see that.
My cousin was with his 2 kids and his wife in a minivan,
Right.
and they were on going into Pennsylvania, and to go into Pennsylvania was a traffic jam, so traffic was stopped.
Right.
Here comes a bunch of these young kids
Yeah.
on those rockets,
Right.
and one guy just right into the back of the minivan.
Their minivan.
Yeah, mort,
Of course.
dead.
Did he end up in the van with them?
No, he hit it, like broke
Yeah.
the back window,
Yeah. Right.
scared the crap out of the kids.
Right.
Everybody's like, what the heck
Lucky
happened?
the gas tank didn't go up.
You're very true. That sadly, that person died right there, but they were flying around a turn and did not know traffic had stopped.
Right.
But now it affected my cousin.
Of
I mean,
course.
now
Of course.
he was not the same.
No.
You
of
know,
course
the
not.
kids, I mean, they seem okay.
Yeah.
They were young at the time. They're still
Right.
young, but that affects kids. His
Sure.
wife is like, she sees a motorcycle now, she cringes. I mean, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So it affects everybody. He had to go to court. He had to do paperwork. He had to go talk to the sheriff. I mean, he was involved in, somebody passed away.
Yeah.
And he had to tell everybody, I was at a dead stop in traffic. I was not driving.
Yeah. Right.
He just came into me. So,
A long time ago, when I was training as a surgery resident, I was at the trauma center down in Camden. That's where I spent 9 years between second half of med school and 6 years of residency. You know, there were more motorcycle victims that ended up, the vernacular, the joke, and it was no joke, is that, we only get a certain slice of motorcycle crash victims because most of them are organ donors or they're dead at the scene. But the people that I took care of, oh my God, missing limbs, half their head off, and it's like, it would have been merciful if they died in the field. That's how bad it is. Because why? Why is this true? Look, I love getting on a motorcycle, but the human body was not meant to be, you know, tooling down a highway at 60, 70, 80 miles an hour and then dumping it or getting hit by a truck or a car or even 30 miles an hour. That's about how fast you said you were
Oh
going and you
yeah,
almost died.
yeah,
God
yeah.
forbid.
There, you don't. When that happened to me, all of a sudden everybody has a story. I
Yeah.
mean, all of a sudden people come out of the woodwork and, well, I lost my cousin, or I lost my best friend at 18, or so and so's father passed away on a motorcycle. And you don't want to hear those stories, but you know
Right.
what? They're out there and they're real. And the nurses, let me tell you, the nurses, they want to scare you. They were teasing me that they were
Yeah.
going to take me,
Yeah.
roll me down to my friends that were down the hallway, the ones that were paraplegics.
Yeah.
Like they were trying
Oh,
to scare me straight.
oh,
Like
exactly.
get rid
Yeah.
of it. Like, all your friends are down here and they can't move. They're paralyzed, or who had a head injury. And
And then there's the other side of this story that we really don't hear a lot about, but I know people who their relatives were killed in a big dramatic way instantly because they were running across the street and had no idea that some person on a motorcycle was doing 85 miles an hour in a 25 mile an hour zone and gets nailed dead on by a motorcycle that, what's a crotch rocket weigh, about 700 pounds?
I don't think that much. They're a
600,
little lighter.
600 pounds, put
Yeah,
a 200 pound
500.
person
Yeah,
on
but
them
still.
and 80 miles an hour.
Oh,
That's,
it's.
that's like a fly swatter,
Yeah,
and you're swatting a fly. What's left? But
yeah. I'm not much of a speed guy, and I ride with a lot of retired cops for some reason. All my friends are retired cops. So they do the speed limit. They won't go through red lights. They come to
right,
complete stops at stop signs.
right.
They don't cut any corners. And one of them was a chief of police. So, I mean, they just do the right thing. So we're never speeding. We're just, yeah, yeah, we're just riding, having fun. And most motorcycle people you see in a group, they're just riding to get something to eat. We just
Yeah,
find
of course.
we're just picking out what restaurant, what diner. All right, that one way up there, yeah, it's about an hour away. Sure, let's go. You know.
There was an old acquaintance of mine, no names named, and this was right around the time that I took um, my motorcycle safety course. And one of the number one issues that they drove into our head is, if it's raining or snowing, don't be on your bike unless you absolutely have to. And do not get on your bike if you've been drinking. And this guy dumped his bike several times, almost laughing about, oh, I got, oh yeah, I broke this and I broke that, like almost like it's a badges of honor,
Yeah.
the military ribbons. And he says, oh yeah, it's stop into a bar and have a half a dozen beer on tap, get on my bike, be on my way. And I'd say, what, what are what are you thinking about?
You have to
I
react.
mean, you're in a car, you can daydream, you know, I think a lot of people have had a glass of wine or a glass of beer and they get in their car and they drive home from a restaurant. I mean, because if that weren't true, the restaurants and the bars would all be out of business, folks. Let's just call a spade a spade. But to have a couple of drinks and get on a motorcycle, that's beyond my sensibility.
Well, my favorite ride all year. Once a year, I get together with three gentlemen on Harley Davidsons, if you can picture that. And this year, their ages will be 79, 77,
Oh, wow.
and 75. And John, they're all retired surgeons. And when they first asked me to go, I was like, yeah, I guess. They were nice guys. I'm like, here I am. We're gonna go, and I'm gonna babysit these guys. What are we gonna do? 30 in the slow lane like blah blah. These guys were animals. They've ridden to California. They've ridden to Nebraska 3 times. Like, who goes to Nebraska? Texas. Each bike had like 90,000
Sturgis,
miles.
Iron Bud,
Sturgis.
all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Right.
So we ride, and they're they're not speeding, but they're going pretty quick. I'm like, wow, this is something else, you know.
79 years old.
79 years old.
Wow.
We go to a restaurant that they picked that they've been to before, and we walk in. Now, like you said, I'm not drinking and driving. I don't do it with a car, and I'm not definitely not doing it on a motorcycle. So I said, I'll have a cranberry and club. And they look at me like, cranberry and club? Seriously? One gets double Jack and Coke. One gets a kettle and something else, and the other one gets a martini. I guess he was the classy one. And I'm like, are you guys kidding me? And
Wow.
they just, I guess they've ridden so much and they've done so much. And every year we go to the same spot and they have the same drinks and I have the same
Right.
cranberry juice. And
My,
that's it.
my first personal patient as an intern in surgery at the trauma center. I remember his face like it was yesterday. I remember his newlywed, and I remember his name, but I won't say it, of course. This guy was in, he was probably at the time, I would say he was probably early 50s. He had the gray beard, all of that classic, Harley type guy. And he was in a club, a motorcycle club. He wasn't just some lone wolf that was out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And it was, I don't know what day of the week it was. I think typically it's a Sunday. And he and the club were out on the turnpike.
Oh,
The
wow.
New Jersey Turnpike. And he had just gotten married. And his newlywed was on the back of the bike, and he had Honda Goldwing,
Yeah,
right?
it's a big
Right.
bike.
Big ass bike with a dashboard
Yeah.
and a windshield and all that crap. And a tractor trailer jackknifed right in front of them. And of course, boom, they go sliding underneath the tractor trailer. She apparently was unscathed, but they were all doing like 60, 70 miles an hour in this club. They were all going. And how do you design a more horrific scene? I guess other than somebody hopping the divider and coming from the opposite side, which is that's it. The tractor trailer took like many bikes out. This guy got the worst of it. Man, I don't know how he wasn't dead. He had the trach, he had the fractured skull, he had an open belly. His legs had, oh my God, he had compartment syndromes, and his legs were open, and we were packing him wet to dry, wet to dry, wet to dry. He spent over a month in the trauma ICU, and then graduated to the med surge trauma floors. I took care of that guy until he was wheeled out of the hospital. He lived. He lived. And one of the thrills for me, other than the fact that he lived, was the day that I got fingered to, I changed his trach many times. And this was going to be the big day that we were taking his trach out, which means that if you take that trach out, he can do this, and you can finally hear the guy's voice. And I was so thrilled to hear that guy's voice. He started crying. He had a trach for months and months and months. Yeah.
You don't realize, John, I mean, well, maybe you do. When you're in that position, the care you get, I'll never forget those ambulance doors opening up and seeing my trauma doctor and a nurse waiting for me. And I just felt safe with them.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the nurses at night that when they had to transfer you to get more CAT scans, they're there telling you it's going to be okay. You want to talk about getting emotional? I'm getting emotional right now. Because in the hospital, it's just you, everybody's gone, and it's that nurse, or that doctor in the middle of the night that came in, and you're like, please, just don't hurt me that bad,
Really?
And they talk you through. And I'll never forget my nurse. She said she was in she was going to retire. She was in her 40th year of nursing.
Wow.
And the night shift, she took such good care of me.
40 years as a nurse. God bless.
40, right?
Wow.
And I told her, I said, when I left that day, and I walked out of the hospital. I would not accept a wheelchair. I said, I am walking out of the hospital. So I walked out of the hospital. Barely made it. But I told her, thank you for taking care of me like it was your 4th year instead of your 40th. I mean, I really, if I saw her on the street, I'd kiss her right now. It's amazing.
I think we're going to do an episode dedicated to trauma.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm gonna tell trauma stories. Of course, no names named, nothing like that. But I have 1,000 trauma stories.
Sounds
And
like a podcast.
yeah. I think it'll hold people's interest. Um, can I ask you, because I merely took the safety course for my motorcycle license. I am M designated on my New Jersey
Okay.
driver's
All
license.
right.
But you're the guy with the bike.
All right.
Alchemize this for everything we just talked about.
Oh, wow.
It's all right.
Okay.
Just let it flow.
Well,
man.
I thank you, John, for that. You know, people, like I told you, watch those roads out there. I mean, when you look into that, you're going to switch lanes. Always look twice. I mean, save somebody's life, because you are saving somebody's life. Even if that motorcycle is 20 yards behind you, you don't know what's going on if he's paying attention either. So please, just really watch out there. Let bikers do their thing. Let them go past you, and just watch the road, because that's somebody's father, and on the back is somebody's mother, sister,
Right.
somebody's son. And
Yeah.
that's
Right.
a real life you're saving out there. So it's a great episode for this time of the year,
Yeah,
John. I
it-
want to
yeah,
thank you
it is.
for talking about it. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
and that's a great way to wrap it up. And you know, for the other cohort of bikers that scare the crap out of the people driving their cars, boom, and 5 people that are 20 years old go bombing down the highway
Yeah.
doing 130 miles an hour. You can get upset with them, but I think those kids need your prayers, because my guess is there are no 50-year-olds that are driving on a crotch rocket or a Hayabusa or whatever the hot potato is today.
Yeah.
It was, 15 years ago, I think it was a Hayabusa.
Yeah.
And, pray for those kids that they can have fun on their bikes, but stop taking their lives and the lives of other people in their hands.
Yeah.
The roadside crosses that you see up and down the highways, very often, that's what led to it, was the irresponsibility on a crotch rocket doing superhuman speeds. Anyway,
Wow, great
God bless,
job.
Phil.
God bless. Thank you,
Okay.
John. Thank you for that. If you like what we're doing, people, press the like button and subscribe to the Jersey Alchemist. Peace.